Okay, Brich Babum, B'Shaim Hashem. Really, we should make a Shachiyuni. An event like this is overdue a very long time. So really, we should say Shachiyuni v'Kimuni v'Ginu Lazman Hazeh. I want to thank Hashem Yisburach that me and my wife were able to. This idea was incubating in our brains, in our minds, for very many years. And we decided now is the time. We're going to do this. Draai off the volume of the band. Yeah. This is the first event, I think, in the Frum community, the Haimische community, of second married couples being open, coming together, and sharing and becoming more advanced. For those of you that know me and know my wife, for many years we've been counseling and working with couples and dating couples the second time around, married couples the second time around. So we've picked up a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, a lot of interesting scenarios. We know that every couple, every situation is custom. However, there's still many common situations that have to be addressed and discussed. And this is the reason why we created Mishpachteinu. So welcome to Mishpachteinu. Mishpachteinu means our families. Getting married second time around, all of us are tzaddikim and tzaddikas, tzaddikisen. That's it, kunyas. We took the leap of faith and we went into it again the second time around, knowing there's going to be a lot of situations that we're going to have to deal with. It's the blending the children, blending the families, dealing with the exes, dealing with the past. So until Mishpachteinu was formed, everybody was on their own. You might have had your personal mentor, your personal professional, or whoever you spoke to. But now is the first time that we have an official place, an official group, where we're going to be able to deal with all of this. Really, you should all applaud yourself. You should thank yourself for coming. And it's brave. So many people called in to the secretary and were trying to, what is it all about? You sure? And then, okay, I'm going to see. It takes a lot of courage to come out here. But I think all of us that have been through life, as young as we are, going through our challenges, I think we came to a place where we realized, all of us, that we got to be open, we got to advance and listen and try to see what else there is out there to make our lives easier and to pick up some advice and encouragement and validation. And I think that this is the prime focus, the prime goal of Mishpachteinu. The event tonight is going to be, I'm just going to speak a few minutes to introduce to you what we're doing and what we're planning with the future for Mishpachteinu. But really, soon we're going to split up the men and the women. My wife is going to be with the women, I'm going to be with the men, and we're going to be listening also. We want to listen to everybody. We want to see what else, to understand how we're going to make different types of groups and seminars in the future. I think we could all use a nights out, couples nights out. Being parents of a blended family, I think we could all use a nights out. So hopefully we're going to try to work it out that it should be every second week. Let's say, hopefully, different types of groups or different types of situations. There are many couples that are dealing with married couples. Others are dealing with 3-year-olds, blending, and my 3-year-old kid is upset with this kid, taking away my room, taking away my mommy, sharing my dad, and all this stuff. So we're going to try to separate different types of groups as soon as we have more information of who is interested in what. And once we're going to have that, we'll have And the goal is that it should go exactly like this. It should be not only a nights out for the women and for the men like this, it's a couple nights out, and hopefully we'll be able to make some refreshments every time and a nice place where we could come out and mingle and discuss and different types of, and all the courses that I've put together throughout these years, I have many different things that we could deal with. If it's financial issues, we're going to get soon into more of the details, but this is something that we have to, that we're going to hear from everybody else. So that's what we're going to split it up and listen to everybody else. Just want to give a brief history of what happened to humankind, to mankind on planet Earth. We know that the Yiddish cheshbon of the world is 5,780 years, the world. The first 5,700 or 5,600 years of planet Earth, marriage was one scenario, one style, one thing, and after that everything changed. Let me explain. In the olden days, let's take a couple that lived in a little town over there in a little place. The wife was home in her little house. The husband went out to work the whole day. He was doing the physical work. She was home with the kids. She was taking care of the chickens in the back, maybe if she was rich, she even had a cow. She had to wash the laundry once a week in the back by the water stream, and it was a very different life, but basically she was disconnected from the world. There was no, let alone smartphones, there was no phones, there was nothing. And all she had was her family, her next door neighbor, and the social maybe was when she went out with her friends, with the neighbors to wash the laundry by the water stream. But that's what it was. The husband went out. He was working, if it was chopping woods, if it was carrying the Wasserträger, if it was carrying the water, whatever it was. He was working physical, and then he went to shul, and then he went to the market, and he went shopping, and he came home. His wife was waiting for him with such excitement. She couldn't wait for a big man to come home. What did he bring home? He brought home his physical power. He was able to secure her. He was watching. She knew her man is coming home. She'll be safe overnight. When the husband used to leave, they used to go together. There was no police. There was nothing. It was scary to be home alone. So they needed the husbands to come home and watch them physically and help with the stuff, with the heavy stuff that they couldn't do themselves. Today's is the men. We kill the spiders and we open the jars, I think. I take out the garbage when we're asked 3 times, and then eventually we get there. We do take out the garbage in the end. And the sock, to put the sock into the laundry basket, that's already a special. In any case, in those days, the man was a man and the woman was a woman. She needed him for everything. She needed him for news. He came home, he brought her the news. He was in town, he went to the bakery, he was where it was, he came home. She needed him for ideas, for ideology. She needed him for Yiddishkeit, she needed him for everything. She needed him for physically, for emotionally, spiritually, and she needed him for financially. Then came, I don't know exact history, 200 years ago, a guy was flying his kite, and he got an electric shock, and he invented the light bulb. Since that day, marriages have changed. The Industrial Revolution started. Machines started coming out. People started working. Women started working behind the sewing machines for the last 100 years. They were able to make some money. They were able to socialize, go out, to listen. So they didn't need the husbands exactly for finances that much and news, but she still needed a husband. Now, the last 7-8 years after this, the women are very, very extremely independent, which is great. And so what exactly is left for the man to be the man? Hashem had Rahmanus on us, and he left one thing for the man. What is it already? You could pick up social friends, you could have social media, you could have all kinds of things. You cannot have, the husband is the one that gives emotional support. Yeah, you can pick up emotional support from friends, but a healthy woman, a healthy man wants to come home and listen to his wife. She wants him to come home and listen to her and share the emotional experience of the day, the emotional experience of life. And I think that that's something that as of now, I don't know what the future robots are going to do, but as of now, that's what we still have. So if that's the case, we have an emotional connection. we need to advance in that. We need to bring it to the future, to the next level, and we all want to. But many of us were burnt or hurt in the first marriage. There was a lot of us, a huge percentage of us, men and women alike, that went through a lot of emotional betrayals, went through mistrust, losing trust in each other, and then all of us decided in this room that no, we're going to give it a chance again. We're going to start life again. We trust in the future. We're going to start trusting a man again. We're going to trusting and respecting a woman again. We're going to start, and we realize that living alone, you're missing the whole emotional component of life, which is the essence of life. We're going to give it again a chance. However, and we all know that a second marriage there's nothing like it if it works out. And if the people around us are making sure that it doesn't work out, then it could be the most painful thing in life. Meaning to say that many times we have the children, the minds, my children, your children, our children, they're very, some of them, I mean, children are selfish by nature, and they should be selfish until they grow older and become selfless, or knowing when to be selfless. But the children many times will do whatever they can to break us up. They're not going to say it, they're not going to admit it. But when they sit by their own therapist, that's what they say. Many of the therapists are not going to repeat it to us. But my experience of speaking to so many different families and to children and to the parents and to the couples, if it's not in the beginning, if it's 2 years later, 3 years later, something in them, it's not conscious dafka, it could be they're subconscious, but there's something in them that's, they just don't like it. They want their mommy on their own, their tati on their own. Now I have to share a house, I have to share a room, I have to share. Nobody wants to share Wasepas. What about me? Now the couple is eating supper. I used to have my parents alone. We used to be able to sit together by supper and enjoy together. And suddenly she gets married, he gets married, and where am I? What's happening here? So I think that's something that if we discuss it and we share experiences, we'll realize that, for instance, in a situation like this, we say the children think that it was a bad decision from us to get remarried, but when they get older, they end up thanking us. I know, and personally, I married off you all know my second marriage, obviously. You all know that I married off a couple of months ago, my own daughter. That's the moment when all my kids from my first marriage realized that the best thing in their life was for me to get married again, because there's a house, there's a mommy, they come to us every second Shabbos, they're part of the family. A married couple wants to be able to come. You're giving your children a gift by taking away some of their money, sharing it with the merging family, with the blended family, by giving away your time, by giving away your extra time for bringing with them and all this stuff. You're doing them a favor in the long term. There is a house, there's a unit. They're living in a place where there's a tati and a mami, and this is the way Hashem created the world, and this is the greatest gift we're giving them. They make us feel guilty sometimes, but we need to remember that it's their favor. Of course, we have to try to make them as comfortable as possible. They should appreciate it even at the time being, but really for down the road, this is the greatest gift we can give to our children. I've spoken to many people, which are adults now, when they were children, their parents got remarried. And they all said, you can interview anybody, they'll tell you that now that they're married and they're older, they're realizing it was the best thing for them that their parents got married, that it was a blended family, all it was hard, they had to share a room, whatever, every situation, it was the best thing for them. Why am I pounding on this so much? Because too many of us have a little bit of guilt, if not a lot. There's something in there, a little bit of, it's so hard for the kids. See, this child is not working out, this child fell out of school, this child, it would happen anyway. Things would happen anyway. If anything, you're saving them, you're giving them You're giving them a house, you're giving them a home. And the home is our home. And obviously, needless to say, if the children hear that the couple always says, our children, not your children, my children, yeah, it's your, mine, but the language, the conversation has to be our children from this household. Whoever's in this house is part of this household. And the kids are going to hear that, they're going to feel that from us. I know that it's not possible for a child to feel a stepmom or stepfather, to feel, it's not possible to love your spouse's child as much as you love your own. It's not possible. Whoever tells you that is lying. But the children have to feel the same amount of love, regardless how you feel inside you. So if you're raising your spouse's child, and you care for them, and you worry for them, you're connected with them, you're nice to them, regular, just like you would do to your own children, they're going to feel loved. If inside you feel the same exact way towards your own children, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They feel it the same. That's the goal of the second marriage. That's the goal of our new home. I spoke to someone a few days ago about this event. He's already got remarried 30 years ago. He married off all his kids already. And asked him, what do you think? Well, what would be your message to this event? And he said, I realized that I was very selfish when I got remarried again. And it was the best thing for my children. His married kids and her married kids. And yeah, there was a lot of struggles. He had so much to talk about. I would give him 3 hours, it wouldn't stop. And we all know there's so many situations that was happening. But now at the moment, they're all married, they're all settled. It's one big happy family. The sister-in-laws, it's mamish like they go to each other's simchas. He said it was the greatest that day. And now he's living with his wife so many years already. He's married there. He's happy. The children are happy. So sometimes it's good to look past. Now we're dealing with the daily struggles and the daily issues, situations. It's hard for us to see, but sometimes if we speak to someone that's been there, done that, a couple that's afterwards, that says, you know what? It was hard. It was very hard. I'm sure most of you know that me and a few of my partners run a organization for the divorced men, right? Achim Baderich, which is for Hasidic divorced men. We have almost 500 divorced men currently on our list, and my wife is running she's one of the greatest, probably, that runs Sister to Sister, which is an organization for divorced women. I've been to many of their Shabbatons. We've made our own Shabbatons. Actually, in this very place, we're making a Shabbaton now for the men and Pashas B'Shalach. We've picked up so much experience by speaking to divorced people and going through this. The amount of pain that divorced men and women go through, we forget. I'm just reminding you, we forget when we get remarried and we're dealing with so many situations. It's even harder to be single. The oldest single, it's mamish the most. I speak at many different Shabbatons throughout the year. The most painful Shabbaton is the singles. Telling you, it's a very, very painful situation. And we forget, that's how it works, we move on. And you can have a shmuz with all these hundreds of women that wish they would get remarried, they'd find a basher to one, and the men the same way. And now we're here, so it's not a sad thing, we're not in a bad place, we're in a great place, Baruch Hashem, we moved on, and we have good marriages, Baruch Hashem. But we're just here to discuss all the side, the children, the ex-spouses, or the finances, whatever it is that's in our way, to try to make it easier and to have tools how to deal with it. So to just make it easier and more geschmack, and to work on the marriage on the second time around. So this is really the purpose for why we did this Mishpachteinu. How it's going to work in the future is something that I want to talk about 2-3 minutes. As I said before, we're going to have nights out. We're going to try always to make it couples nights out, and to pick up different courses and seminars, different types of workshops. There are already some support groups happening in Muncie. There's a support group for divorced men. It's every 2 weeks. Someone, A.B. Tower and Cheski Marich. Cheski Marich, a few good people together. It's amazing. I've been there a few times, and so much great things are happening. There was in Flatbush. There was a few gatherings from a support group. My wife was there. They called it to speak there. Also a support group where people are actually sharing all their open and that kind of thing. But Mishpachteinu really is not a support group. I mean, it's going to be supportive anyway. It's a project. It's more a group of people that want to have workshops and picking up tools, the right tools, and how to deal with situations. When you are discussing things and you're talking to other people, and I myself am going to be sharing a lot of information, and then working out different types of situations, people that are mamish the same thing. That's why it's very important. You should fill out your forms. You should write how many children you have, their ages. Like this, we should know how to set up the future groups and workshops. And for now, I'm going to end now. We're going to split up the rooms. We're going to have over here. My wife is going to be with the ladies. Now you're listening to me, and I want to listen to you. And I'm going to be over here with the men. We got Mishpachteinu event. And we're going to listen to everybody and try to see what's out there, different types of scenarios. You've all seen in the folder. There's this this sheet over here. This is something that we just put together. I'm sure there's so many more things that we can be added. There is the United Front is one type of seminar that we're going to do. How to enhance the marriage a second time around. Validating and understanding each spouse's role. There's so many things in that itself. And then the children, the junior, teenage, and married kids blender. The role of the stepmother. Ouch. Who said ouch? The role of the stepmother, stepfather. Yichud issues, if there is. The many times you have blending families. You have teenage boys, teenage girls in the same house. It's not only teenage issues, yichud issues. There's more than that. There's always all kinds of situations that we have to. If you're not up to that stage, at least you should be aware of it. And if you're up to that stage, there's a lot of information that could be shared on how to deal with that. And unfortunately, many of us are dealing with children that are, let's call it, slipping out of yeshiva. And yeah, there's a lot of guilt in us and whatever, but we all know that it's all Mishamayim and everybody's their own thing. But then again, that's something that we have to, step-sibling rivalry, obviously there's a lot of things going on there. And who's mechanech, whose children? Are you mechanech my kids? It's your child, I'm not, it's your job. You have to be mechanech. My child, like that whole thing, we're gonna be dealing with that. Alienated children that came into your marriage suddenly. I've had it. Many couples have there's only visitations, the husband has visitations and whatever, and then suddenly the child moves in. How do we deal with that? It's not scary stuff. These are stuff that we're dealing with, and we're going to share a lot of experiences and ideas how to deal with it. And when we have the tools and there's awareness, we're already ahead of the game. That's the goal. Making simchas together. I mean, many of us have experienced it already. Making simcha together, dealing with this one, that one. One bar mitzvah, two bar mitzvahs, he's making bar mitzvah, he's making bar mitzvah. Who's paying for it? The name of the children is a very common issue. A lot of men are very stubborn. They don't want their kids to change the name. And sometimes it's the opposite. Some people do care, don't care. These are different types of situations that we're dealing with. Hashkafic differences. How many times I've had people got married from different cultures, Yidden, Chareitish Yidden, but whatever, different groups. They got married. His children is in the Chareitish and one in the Chassidish school, and her kids in the Litvish school. There's so many different situations that are you all know what to talk about. And this is something that if we have a group about it, we have a discussion, it's going to definitely help. Step Schwigger. Step Schwigger, Schwer. So we have two sets basically. We have the Schwers and the Schwigger, and then the Step Schwigger, because they're the grandparents of our kids. So we're dealing with so many type of things. Okay, then the ours children. Many situations we're dealing. Finally, we worked out how to do with my kids, your kids. Then Baruch Hashem, there's our children, and our children are usually very jealous from the older kids that are going. They have much more zaytis and babas than we have. It's very painful for them. I say, why is that? And they're going away every second Shabbos, they're having a great time. What's happening with us? And of course, which by the way, I spoke a lot about it in Achim B'Derech, that the men should not be the bribing the kids when they have the kids for those few minutes, for those few hours, or whenever they have the children for there should be sugar daddies, for visitation. They're giving the kids all kinds of prizes and gifts, and the kid says, they go home to mommy, or to mommy if she's remarried to the new house, and they're very, they don't want to listen to discipline and stuff. But all this kind of stuff. So I do tell it repeatedly to the divorced men. They should be careful, and obviously to us, to understand that the child has two sides. They see different families. But I want to tell you something, a chizik. Again, on a personal note, Baruch Hashem, we're remarried 14 years. And we've had the kids her children going to their father every second week, and this one and that one, and the Yiddishkeit levels are very different, and all this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of concerns. We're always concerned, what's going to be with our kids? They're being exposed, they're going to my ex, and who knows what's over there, and this one and that. They're not disciplined. In that house, they can do whatever they want, and by us, we have to be disciplined. Yes, continue being disciplined. Of course, you have to give a little extra, you have to bribe more, maybe, those kind of whatever, we have to get into it, but don't worry. These children are meant to go through this, obviously, if Hashem put them into this situation. And I see now, and my own kids, and I've seen it in so many different people, and this person that I spoke to yesterday, the children grow up, they're way more mature than their age. They're better, they're brighter, they're able to handle it. Yes, they have to make bigger choices. We try to isolate our children. We grow them up, we try to, different communities more, different communities less, but we try to, to grow them up in a certain system, a certain lifestyle, a certain family, the way we want them to be. But it doesn't work like that the second time around, because sometimes they just go to the other place and they see different things. But you should know, the kids are stronger than we think they are, and they end up growing up great. As long as we do our job perfect, we try. Nobody does perfect. We do our job as good as we can. We're nice to the kids, we love them, and it's a very happy family unit. Even if there are all these issues with this step-sibling rivalry and all this kind of stuff, they're going to grow up great, the most masterful human beings. And I'm remembering now that I once spoke by Sister Talk on Shabbos. I was enumerating a whole list. I think we had probably 30 of the Gedolei Yisroel from the last 300 years only. 30 of them that were raised in blended families. It's very interesting. And they were the greatest, including the Baal Shem Tov. And most of us Talmidim, and down and down. And by the Litvish Welt, it's amazing how they became the greatest, and there was, I don't know about the percentage, I think 10 out of the 40 presidents of the United States were raised in divorced homes or remarried homes. It's painful sometimes when we see a child is not growing up at the moment. As long as we're strong and we say, listen, this is it, this is your house, how can I make you happy? I understand it's hard for you. You give them the validation, yes, you have this new sister and this one, and that girl got a nice outfit that you did, but in the store she chose, you didn't want, all this, so much going on. But at the end of the day, if we are strong and we know that we did the right thing for their sake, that we got married again. And we got remarried for our own sake. Yes, we're allowed to be selfish. We got married because we wanted to move on in life. We're looking to get married for a partner, whatever it is. And if we're strong with that, and we're nice and we understand them, obviously we try to do whatever we can, they're going to grow up great. They're going to grow up great leaders. They're going to grow up great people. And I just want to finish a few more things here. And the next thing is dealing with the ex. There's a lot of us are dealing with the exes for years and years and years. And someone just told me just now, a week ago, that the moment he got remarried, that's the moment when his ex woke up and she started all kinds of stuff, making the child call him every 5 minutes on the phone. She never let him talk to the father on the phone, obviously, till now. But now, Mommy said, I should call you, I need this, I need that. So obviously I guided him and we worked it out, but a lot of exes are dealing with that. Obviously it goes both ways, okay? I'm not biased to either side, okay? I'm just trying. I think from the past, that's something that I think most of us understand that. Open and unfinished legal issues and all this kind of stuff, so we're going to have groups and those kind of stuff, visitation issues that happen, communication, established boundaries and all this kind of stuff. And then the last, on this paper, hopefully after tonight we're going to have, probably going to have double the amount. The financial piece. I think that this is something that most of Klal Yisrael, of from Eden in the world, first time around married, second time around married, in today's lifestyle, in today's world, are not exactly covering the expenses and Baruch Hashem between tuition and everything else. And we get married second time around, there's so much more. Our children need more therapy than anybody else. And there's so much more. We all know how much more there is. We need bigger houses. We need some more. The financial is a huge stress on all of us, and we could all use much more vacations, and to cover that, let alone. And then
talk about the vacations.
Talk about vacations. And then someone said that before he got married, he sent his daughter to seminary, and then he got remarried, and then her child came into thing, and he couldn't send her to seminary because just the money wasn't there. Or I could read off to you hundreds of scenarios, which I'm sure is going to be shared soon, and where it's just mamash impossible. It's impossible. You have to really be very, very financially stable to cover all of this, and it does make a huge stress in the marriage. And there's so many things that we could do to ease the stress. One of the things Mishpachteinu, every 2 weeks we'll have a couples night out. We'll have a little bit. But really, there's a lot of things that we could share, a lot of ideas. When to combine or to keep separate bank accounts, and all this kind of stuff, and spousal child support, setting up an inheritance plan, and all this kind of stuff. But that's going to be discussed at that event. So for now, we're gonna split up, and then we'll continue from there.
Thank you.